We have this idea that there's scarcity around love, and there isn't. I'm not thinking about like, oh, well, what does he want? And like, how do I fit into that? I'm like, fuck, what do I want?
Life is this big, huge, beautiful, multifaceted shit show sometimes.
What people's misconception about being open is that there isn't just one type of being open, right? So like every couple's version of being open is different. I shave my head, I'm openly bi, and I'm having incredible sex, and I'm with a partner who loves me, and I'm just feeling so myself. And then
my babes, I'm so excited to see you! Oh my God, I love you, you know that. I was contemplating on whether or not to tell our history, how you're actually, I was over at Stacy's. We were talking about how we all met you when you were 12, 13, and you were 12 or 13 going on 20 or 25, and how you blew everyone.
Yeah, sounds right.
And I am so proud to know you, and I'm so proud to see you grow into this fucking amazing woman that you are. First of all, who are you? Where are you? What are you? I know you live in Boston with the most amazing man. He's brilliant.
Yes.
And phenomenal.
Yes, my partner Casey. So my name is Amaia Roberena. I live in Boston, Massachusetts. For work, I am a senior manager of diversity, equity, and inclusion for a tech company in the Boston area. I identify as a Hispanic woman who is bisexual. I am with my partner. We've been together for 6 years, and we are in an open relationship, or our version of an open relationship, which we've been doing for about the last couple years. So that's me in a nutshell.
All right, so I want to dive right into this. So please tell me how the open relationship came to be.
Yeah, well, this is a wild ride. So we talk about everything. We talk about everything. We're very open and honest, and about how we're feeling, about what we're thinking, about what we're going through. And so we would have, a little more conversation here and a little conversation there. And it went from, we were talking about it every few months to now it felt like we were talking about it every few weeks. So it got to the point where I was kind of like, I feel like you want to tell me something that you're not telling me. And I think you like we got to talk about it. And so he finally did get to the place where he was like, I think I need to be in an open relationship. It was not easy for me to hear. And I never thought it was anything with us. We always seemed so good. So turns out when he finally talks to me about it, it's something that's been eating at him for this whole time. He's like, I love you more than anything. I want to be with you. I don't think monogamy works for me. And I have been terrified to tell you that because I thought you would leave me. And I would rather be miserable than lose you, kind of thing. And I was like, oh, wow, this is okay. Wow, because I'm now in this place where I love him more than anything, and I want him to be happy. And I am not sure that is what will make me happy, but I want you to be happy. And so what do we do? And what does that mean for us? And what do we do next? And so I guess for me and for him, what made sense was we just started researching. Thank you, internet. I was just reading any article about anything that I could find. And some of them were more helpful than others. Some of them were how-tos or things to think about. And others were people's personal experiences. And then there was also this book. So Casey, I think, had heard about this book on a podcast that he was listening to. And the book is called Sex at Dawn. I recommend it for everybody because it's not a book about being open. It's a book about understanding human sexuality. And I really think everybody should read this book. No matter how awful the thoughts I was having were or what I was feeling, I would just tell him. So he would say, do you believe that I can have sex with somebody else and it doesn't change how I feel about you? And I was like, I think objectively I can, but I can't, because me hearing that, to me, I'm like, you don't love me anymore. I'm not enough for you. I'm not good enough. Something is missing. All of this negative, why would you want to do that? If you love me and we're happy, why do you need that? Something, all of those things. And I think the other thing we definitely have to talk about here, and I love that the book gets into this, is this slut shamey bullshit culture we live in that is tells women that their sexuality doesn't matter, that their pleasure doesn't matter. And if you have sex with somebody that you're not married to, you're a slut. And then also that it's your job to please a man. So if your man needs to step outside the relationship, it's your fault. You didn't do something. You're not pleasing him. You should.
Huge. That's so freaking huge.
Yeah. How many Cosmo articles are there, or whatever, how to be the best in bed, how to keep your man. Are you giving him enough? Are you sucking his dick enough? Like, are you a freak enough? Are you wearing hot enough lingerie? Like, what are you doing that your man is interested in somebody else? What the fuck? What the actual fuck?
Right.
Are you kidding me? But like, that's how I was thinking, right? So I'm like, it is my fault that he doesn't love me anymore. It's my fault. I wasn't good enough. I'm not all of these things. And so I'm telling him that this is what's happening for me, because he's telling me this stuff and I'm like sobbing, I'm like, oh my God. And he's like, he's heartbroken because he sees I'm hurt and he's like, I don't want you to be hurt. So like all of this, but I'm telling him none of it is true. He's like, in the best way possible, it has nothing to do with you. My desires, my everything are in no way a reflection on any part of our relationship, how good or how bad or how anything it is. It has nothing to do with how you look or how you don't look or what you do or what you don't do or anything. He's like, because I love you. I know you're my person. I want to be with you. Our relationship is wonderful. I think you're like the most beautiful thing to walk the earth. Everything is great. And I'm still attracted to you. And then there's also this just like natural desire I have that has in no way any effect on any of that.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, you sure though? This is now all happening over a period of like a few months. So like we kind of made this deal that we weren't going to talk about it anymore until we had both read the book. So as I'm reading the book, this incredible change happens for me. It's like, right? Like fucking mind-blowing moment after another where I'm just like, oh my God, like, yes. Yep. Sounds right. Yep. Sounds right. Yep. I've experienced that. Like, holy fuck. And then when I started realizing, so like, I'm not thinking about Casey anymore. I'm only thinking about me. I'm not thinking about like, well, what does he want? And like, how do I fit into that? I'm like, fuck, what do I want? Like,
yes!
I'm like, why am I just accepting monogamy as like what I do? Why was I so willing to be like accepting of like other people can go have casual encounters and that's okay, but if I do it, I'm a slut. And what's really interesting about that is that like, I'm not a very judgmental person. So, and like naturally, I think. And so I had friends or other people in my life who I was like living vicariously through them because I loved how openly they would like express their sexuality. And like, I've always been a very sexual person, but then I was just like, but it's not okay for me. What? Like, what? Right? So I'm reading this book and I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Like, and now I'm like,
whoa.
I'm like, this is fucking great. Like, yeah, like, let's do this. I like finished reading the book and I walk up to him and I'm like, yeah, we're going to try being open. And he was just like, what? What happened? It was me finally questioning my beliefs and how I was going about living my life because I was just like told like, well, that's how you live. And so I was like, okay, I guess that's how I live without ever questioning it. And I finally questioned it and I was like, yeah, no, not for me though. Thank you. So there's another book. It's called Come As You Are. It's all about female sexuality. And in the book, the author has this really incredible analogy that she uses in that like we're all gardens, and so up until a certain age, society, your family, friends, like whatever influences you're immediately exposed to, that's what gets planted in your garden. When you get to an adult age, you then take control back of your garden and it's now up to you to look at your garden and say, well, what do I actually want planted in here? What weeds do I want to pull? What doesn't exist here that I want planted? Like looking at who we are and saying, okay, that's a product of my circumstances, but what do I actually want to, like, how do I want to live my life? What do I actually believe in? What do I want in my garden? That wasn't the space I immediately went to, again, because of like product of our circumstances and whatever we've been exposed to. And so as I'm reading this book, I get to that place. And I'm so grateful to this book for getting to that place because it was like the most freeing thing. And then I go back to like remembering who I was. I am like a super open sexual, like free love, let's do this like person. And I had like stifled that down because I was like, it's wrong for me to be that way. I'm a slut. What the fuck on so many levels, what the fuck, right? And so we decided I would like be the first person to do it. And it was just like this fun, awesome, positive experience. And I have this person who I love so much and we're great. And I just had this fun experience and I'm just like, this is so great. I love it. I'm like riding high, right? I'm just like, if you love a person, like, why would we, this stuff it's not finite, right? We have this idea that there's like scarcity around love and these positive feelings that you can have, and there isn't, right? Like it's not like, it's not pie, right? Like me having this positive experience with this person doesn't mean that I have less pie with Casey, right? Like it isn't that way. It's like, it's abundant, right? It's infinite. And so I feel like I am really myself. Like I'm 27 and I'm like really myself. Like I shave my fucking head. Yeah. I'm openly bi, and I'm having incredible sex, and I'm with a partner who loves me, and I'm just like, this is life. Like this is wonderful. And I'm just feeling so myself. And then and then there was some shit in our relationship that we hadn't dealt with. And I didn't realize it at first because we were so like riding the wave of like, this is so exciting. We're open now. Like, great. And then I have this positive experience. And then he's trying to meet people. And we're just like, that we like forgot to deal with the other shit. But like, that's what I'm telling you, where you cannot avoid the shit. It will come back around because this requires like full open communication about all the feelings you're going to have, and you're going to feel all the feels, and you got to talk about it. And so we had like fucked up because we didn't talk about it, right? We just like went in this other direction, and we're like, great, oh yeah, we'll come back to that. And like, no, it like started to eat us from inside, right? And so, but he was talking to the people, his circle. But we do get to the place where, we talk about it. I tell him I don't feel safe in our relationship because I feel like you're telling others things, and I'm not ready for that. And like, that comes out, right? So he understands where I'm coming from. I understand where he's coming from. And we get to the place where we're like, okay, let's focus on us. We're not going to be open anymore. That probably lasted for like 6 months. And I would say probably even less before we were already talking about the struggles of monogamy again. We had tried other things, right? So while we were monogamous, we were like, okay, well, are there things that we can do to like simulate the variety, but like there isn't, right? Like there aren't other people, but we can like figure out ways to do that. So like we like experimented with like porn, and I'm from Vegas. So we came to Vegas and like, I took him to a strip club. I'm like, go get your 3 for $100. Like what, you know what I mean? I'm like, what can we do, right?
Did you ever bring someone else in together? Did you ever go that route?
We didn't. No, we didn't. We actually thought at first we were going to start that way. So when we first started being open, we thought that like, instead of us both doing our own thing, why don't we try to have like a threesome first? Yeah. We probably like went about that way for like a week, like trying to find a person before we realized like, that's not really what we want. So like, I'm down to have a threesome. It's not really his thing, but I think he would do it. But it wasn't something we necessarily wanted with each other.
Got it.
So it felt like we were forcing. It felt like kind of like we were like forcing it, which we didn't want to do, right? Because the whole point of this is to be doing what we want to be doing. Right. And so that probably lasted like a week of like exploring that idea. And then we realized like, if it happens one day, because it happens, super, but it's not something we're actively pursuing. And so we decided like, we're both going to go do our own things. So we've never brought anybody else in, still to now.
Right. And when you were doing both, yeah,
quite literally.
Men and women, right? When you were doing your thing, and now you currently are in open, correct? And it's going well.
Yeah. So we started being open again July of last year. So it's been a year and almost 4 months now. And it's been, we went about it a very different way. So the first time we went about it, like I said, we like fucking balls to the wall, jumped in like deep end, like everything. And this time we were like the exact opposite. We're like, let's really take it slow. Let's like baby step it here. Okay. And like
talk about your I love you're talking about like your rules and your guidelines, like that. Now you have more than you had before.
Oh yeah. So that's like a really interesting thing that people's misconception about being open is that there isn't just one type of being open, right? So like every couple's version of being open is different, and then every couple's ways of going about it is different. So like I said, we were only open to casual experiences, and then we're like, okay, how do we feel safe and good about doing this? So we sat down and for hours talked about, friends are probably not a good idea. So like no one in the friend group, no one that we work with. The thing behind that was no one that the other person would have to like be around regularly, because no matter what, right? Like no matter how comfortable or whatever we can be with all this, like maybe some people want to be in the same room as the person fucking, but like, I don't know, we weren't really there and we're still not there. So we're like,
Right.
I'm like, I get it. They're hot. Like, go do your thing. I don't necessarily like need to be with them though. Right. So like, that was what worked for us. We decided we didn't want to do that. Obviously being safe. So like always wearing condoms, always, using protection. At first we did no sleepovers, but that's kind of changed now. Yeah. We were like no sleepovers. That changed in the last couple months where we were like, who cares? If you're tired, go to sleep, wake up the next morning, come home. Like, it's fine. But our hesitancy there was like keeping the boundaries, like of feelings. So another rule is the person has to know your situation, right? So we're very honest with other people. They know what's going on. They know what we're looking for. There's like no hidden agenda, right? Like it's.
Tell the part about the girl that you were about no feelings and it being casual and the minute that the other. And I was telling my girl, well, good fucking luck with that, because anyone who like gets in the sack with you, I want to marry you. Nope.
Yeah. Okay.
Motherfucker, lucky you got this night.
Yeah. I fucking love you. I can't. So Casey and I are both like, when we talk to people, very upfront about the situation and like what we're looking for. And she went about it the best way that she could. She was just like, hey, like I have developed feelings for you. And so I just told her, very upfront, very honest again, like, hey, no, that's not our situation. And it's not now. And I don't see it being that way in the future.
Would you ever do something like you found someone and they were cool as hell and it was casual and they kind of had a similar situation? Would you be open to that, or is it like a one and done thing?
Oh no, you can sleep with somebody multiple times, okay, as long as the feelings are not caught. Our rule is that if one of us catches feelings, we can't be ignorant to the fact, if you vibe with a person, you have great sex with this person, you're spending time with a person, like, again, like love is not finite. So I fully believe that can you have feelings for another person and still fully love your partner? Yes. And I think that's how people who are polyamorous, I'm assuming, I've never done it, but that would be my assumption, right? It's like, that's how they do it. But we just decided that was not what we wanted. Listen, all this shit, there's another thing, like this takes time and effort and energy and like a lot. And I am not trying to get into a mess. Right. Into a messy situation. That for me is like no.
I was thinking too, like just leaving words of wisdom for relationships that are thinking about this. Like, what words of wisdom could you give them to help them in navigating through this? Because it's uncharted territory and no one really talks about this. But I think it's a natural part of relationships and a healthy part, right? Because life is this big, huge, beautiful, multifaceted shit show sometimes, and it's like navigating the best way through that so it can be extraordinary and amazing and wonderful and well lived.
Yeah. What I would suggest to people is that however you feel, it's not wrong. I think that's another thing that comes up when we talk about being open. People are like, oh, you don't feel jealous? Like, no, of course we still feel jealous. Of course jealousy exists, right? Like, we're not robots. And so I think like starting with this place of like, none of these feelings takes away from other things, because it's not pie. So like a person being attractive doesn't make you less attractive. Mm-hmm. A person having fun or enjoying doesn't mean that they don't have fun or enjoy things with you, right? Like, it doesn't work that way. But having the feeling that it doesn't make you wrong. But ask yourself, why do I feel that way? And be willing to explore why you feel what you feel. Where does it come from? What am I afraid of? Like, where did that hurt? Where did that anger? Where is all of that really coming from? Like, for me, right? I'm like taking a step back and I'm looking at it. I'm like, it stems from me thinking I'm not enough for you. It stems from me thinking I should be doing more. It stems from me thinking you don't love me anymore. That's not actual. That's not real, right? You're not saying that to me. That's what I'm afraid of. And so when I was able to take a step back and say, like, why am I feeling that way? Where is it coming from? Then I can really address it. That's where the research also really helped. And like reading about other people's experiences and like hearing what they were going through and that they had experienced similar things. And in the book, so this book has this whole chapter on jealousy, and they talk about where it comes from and why do we feel it and what is it really. And there's a line in the book, and actually, I don't think I told you this the other night, but I have it tattooed on my arm.
I was wondering what that was.
Yeah, so I modified it. So the line in the book is, if you remove fear from jealousy, what's left? And when I read that, I was like, holy fucking shit. Like, what is left? When Casey tells me like, hey, I want to go have this experience with a person, if I feel like a twinge of jealousy, like what am I actually feeling? What am I afraid? That he's going to have more fun with her? That she's hotter than me? That the sex will be better? That he's going to want to be with her? Like it's all fear. It's not real. Nothing ever comes from it. I'm just afraid of that because I love him and I want us to be together and I don't want to lose him. But like, one doesn't equal the other, right? Just because it happens doesn't mean that's going to happen. I'm just afraid of that. Yeah. And so like reading that in the book was like, fuck. Anyways, I ended up, because that was like such a life-changing thing for me, this whole transformative experience I had, right? With like the shaving of the head, because I was afraid doing that and like all this. And I realized like, where I had gotten in life, when I get to this place where I'm like, I really feel like I'm myself, right? I told you like, at 27 or whatever, I had this moment where I was like, I'm me. And it, maybe I got here it took me longer to get here than I would have liked, but I'm here because I was brave. I decided to be brave and do it scared and like say, fuck it. And so that line resonated so much with me. So I modified it so that it says, if you remove fear, what's left? Because I feel like it's, not just from jealousy, but if you remove fear from anything in life, right? Like how much are we stopping ourselves from doing because we're afraid? And those fears are real, right? I want to acknowledge that. Like my fears were real. They came from a very real place. Acknowledge them and know that it's not wrong that you feel that way. But do you want to stay there? Yeah. And if you don't, what can you do to not? What can you work on? And it's work. It is work. It's continuous work. I don't think the work will ever end. I think there will always be shit that comes up in one way or another, right? That's like, and one of the things we talked about was like, what if a person wants to have an experience with me that like we haven't had together, right? So like, I think I made the joke to you like a gangbang, right? Like, what if one of us wants to go participate in a gangbang? Well, we've never done that together. Is it weird that we haven't done that together? And like, you're going to have an experience that we haven't had together, but with somebody, like, how do we feel about that? Because that's like a different level of like, how do we feel about that? It's continuous work. And so I would say just be patient with yourself. Read, do the research, watch the whatever you can, however you take in information best, whether it's a podcast, reading, audiobook, documentary, whatever the fuck it is, listen to people, hear their experiences, and be willing to look at yourself and question how you feel, why you feel that way, and be willing to do the work. And be open and honest. It will not work if you cannot tell your partner every fucking thing you are thinking, no matter how stupid, ridiculous, whatever you think it is. The shit that I would tell Casey that I'm worried about, it's like, I would say it and I'm like, I know that sounds stupid, but I still feel that way. And if I wouldn't talk to him about it, what am I going to do with that, right? But I talked to him about it. I realize how ridiculous it is, and we move past it. And the same for him with me, right? Like, God, we're talking about like women and the slut shaming and like, if your man wants to step out, blah, blah, blah. And for men, like, Casey's telling me all about like dick size and how like, right, like that. And like, if a man can give your woman more pleasure than you, then you're not a man. If he has a bigger dick than you're not a man. And like all of this shit that's just like, right, that they're dealing with. And so it's him, right, like, and you just trust your partner, hold each other close, and you're walking through the fire together. If you are not doing well in your relationship, this won't fix it. Like Casey and I, even though we had our problems, we were always solid. We always knew, you're my person, you're who I want to go through life with. I love you more than anything. We're going to figure this out together. If you are not in that place, this is not a relationship solver. It will only exacerbate whatever cracks in the foundation exist, and it will be hurtful and it'll be harmful.
Really, really, really good point. A really good point. It's not going to help it. It's going to make it worse.
Yes. And don't do this for anybody. Don't do it for somebody, because your partner or whatever situation you're in, like I said, the biggest shift for me when I realized this was something I actually could do was because I was thinking about me and what I wanted, and that I wanted this. I wasn't doing it because Casey wanted it. I was doing it because I wanted it. And Casey wanted it. Okay, great. Now we're coming together as like, we're doing this together for each of us, as individuals together. If you're doing this for your partner, it's not going to solve your relationship. It's not, you're going to feel like shit. You're going to resent each other. It's just, don't do it. Yeah, don't do it.
Thank you so much, baby.
Yeah.
So awesome.
Oh my God. Of course. Anytime. Thank you for I'm so fucking excited to be a part of this. So thank you for I'm pumped. I can't wait to.
I know.
This is happening at the same time that I shave my head. So I would highly recommend it. I feel like for women, we're so attached to our hair and like what's sexy, what makes a woman look good. Just like all of that is like wrapped up in our hair. And I had had really long, full curly hair. And for years, I remember being like, oh, I think I'll cut it or say things. And people would be like, you can never touch your hair. You can't cut it. You can't whatever. I almost felt like trapped by my hair, which sounds really dramatic, but it was incredibly freeing. So my mother passed from cancer. Casey's mother passed from cancer. I've had other people very close, like my best friend, aunt had just passed from cancer. It was like everywhere I was turning, somebody that I loved was losing someone to cancer. And I just felt like I wanted to do something about it. And so one mission in Boston, they did the Buzz Off. And so you raise money and it goes to families with kids who have cancer. And so you raise money for this and then you shave your head. And this is like at the same time, like literally within 2 weeks of us deciding to be open. This wasn't planned, but I'm like shedding these shackles in ways, right? I'm shedding like the shackles of fucking oppressing female sexuality and like the fear of being openly bi and like the norms of beauty I feel like I have to subscribe to. And like all my fucks to give fell out when they shaved my head, right? I was just like, there they go. And it was this really, really incredibly empowering experience where now I'm like, well, yeah, I'm fucking bald and like, let's do this.